Hey yo, peace and welcome to the Jewel Exchange with Spit Gemz. It's no mystery that Big Pun is my favorite rapper of all time. I often credit Nas with being the greatest rapper of all time, and I differentiate those two for very specific and complex reasons that I won't go into right now. But undoubtedly, Pun is my favorite rapper. It's ill, man. Me and Pun actually share the same birthday. I didn't even find that out until, years after he had passed, and it kind of blew my mind, man. Nevertheless, it's no mystery that Big Pun got his name from Frank Castle. Now, the Punisher also happens to be one of my favorite characters of all time, and I mean stretching across all literature, not just comic books, know what I mean? Now, this comic book right here, What If the Punisher's Family Hadn't Been Killed? This is undoubtedly my favorite Punisher story. This shit is crazy. Now, for all my comic book heads out there, y'all already know what If is all about, and you already know Frank Castle's origin story. But for those who may not, What If was a series that basically focused on one character. The character was Uatu, the Watcher. This was a cosmic entity that had the ability to traverse between universes throughout the multiverse. His purpose was essentially to just watch all the potential realities, see how they unfold and play out, take data, and ultimately he wasn't supposed to interfere with those realities, but that's a whole nother story and topic that's pretty deep. Now, what you get with every issue of What If is a peek into one of those windows of him observing an alternate reality. Just some of the dopest shit that Marvel ever did, especially in the 80s and 90s. Now, as far as Frank Castle was a Vietnam War vet, you know what I mean, who had been through, obviously, a world of pain already, wanted to come home, be with his family, spend time with his children, and just live a mild-mannered life. One day, he was in Central Park, having a picnic with his family, running around with the kids, flying kites. The kite winds up getting stuck in a tall bush, right? Like a wall of bushes. Behind the bush, what's going on, though, is some mafia hitmen are ready to eliminate somebody. Frank and his family become witnesses of that crime, and because of that, they wind up being murdered. They almost kill Frank too, but he winds up surviving and becoming the Punisher. Now, in this alternate reality, when they go to the park and they having a picnic, it's also just about to rain. You know what I mean? You can see the clouds are forming, little bit of lightning and thunder is starting. So when the kite gets stuck in the bushes, they go over to grab it, but before they get to see anything behind the bushes, the wife yells out, "Come on, babe, let's go. It's raining even harder now, hurry up." So he basically turns his head, grabs the kite, and then steps off. Right behind the bush is henchman number one with the blicky just waiting, like right there, you know what I'm saying? So Frank walks off with his family, and it starts to rain harder, thunder and lightning. And then they hear a couple cracking sounds. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots, right? And, his family's like, oh, wow, thunder too. But Frank, being a Vietnam War veteran, he could, decipher the sound of live gunfire, right? So he goes, nah, that wasn't it. What's going on? We ain't in Vietnam no more. This is New York City. It's broad daylight, right? So these are thoughts in the back of his mind while he's walking out. The gunshots that went off were actually the mob hitmen finishing the job that they had come to do. Why they was bodying cats in the middle of Central Park during the day, I don't know. But these are notorious henchmen. Frank Castle goes home that night. He's laying in bed, him and his wife, you know what I'm saying? And he's thinking about a couple things. Like, I miss the Marines. I miss being in combat. It was a bad place for a man with a family, but there was honor, there was friendship. He has a high reverence for this and affinity for that kind of work. So he's laying there and he tells his wife, hey, babe, check it out. I've been thinking about what I want to do with my life, and I decided to join the police force. She's like, wow. He goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, I already applied. I took the test and they accepted me. I start Monday. They hug, they kiss. She happy for him. You know what I'm saying? So boom, Frank Castle is a New York City police officer now. He's riding with his partner. His partner is a cat named McGuire. You know what I mean? And the first thing you see from them two is they running around trying to catch this cat that's done a string of robberies. They can't catch him, though. They having trouble getting with him. When they do catch up to him, though, he's basically caught already. You know what I mean? He's hanging from a light pole like a doula, covered in webs. Spider-Man already, you know what I mean? Here, take him, boys. And then dipped out, right? So Punisher's peeping this, He's looking up at it. He's like, yo, man, Spider-Man is ill, man. I don't know how anybody could believe the things that are said about him in the media. You know what I mean? The newspaper is full of shit. Spider-Man is the man. If it weren't for him, imagine how crazy this city would be. So they hop back in the whip, they driving, you know, him and his partner are having a conversation. And his partner basically tells him, yeah, we caught him, we could make an arrest, but it's not gonna stick. You know what I mean? This guy's connected, he'll be out in no time. You know, and Punisher's perplexed. He's like, how? We have the evidence, you know, we have him. He's like, it doesn't matter. So now the scene switches, right? Frank Castle and his partner Maguire are in the courtroom. The judge is about to do his proceeding. Soon as it looks like justice is about to be served, Frank Castle's partner tells him, what did I tell you? See that guy in the three-piece suit over there? Watch this. Shady character walks in, you know what I mean? Pulls out an envelope, passes it to somebody. That somebody passes it to the judge. Judge takes it. It's a wrap. Court in recess. When the court comes back, the judge goes, I dismiss all charges. So Frank Castle is perplexed. How could this happen? We had him dead to right. His partner tells him, look, I told you, kid, you'll get used to all this. Don't worry. So now they back in the squad car, they riding around, they make a stop. Where they going? They're going to get donuts. Where else they going, right? So they stop into the donut shop. The man behind the counter, as soon as Frank Castle walks in, the man behind the counter goes, you here for the payment? Frank like, payment? So the dude just, you know, gives him a look, doesn't say nothing. Partner comes, goes, yo, Frank, go wait in the car, I'll be right out there. Takes the payment, the VIG, from the donut shop owner, and then hops back in the car. Frank Castle asks him, yo, son, what's really good with this payment? Like, what are we doing here? He said, yo, don't worry about it, kid. This is just a little supplementary funding we get, you know, to turn our heads this way or that way every now and then. So Frank Castle is already like, what? Maguire, his partner, peels off, little knot, rolls it up, stuffs it in Frank Castle's pocket, tells him, yo, listen, kid, shut up, go home, go buy your kid something nice. All right, cool. Frank Castle gets home now. He's fuming, you know what I mean? He's talking to his wife. Yo, how this motherfucker gonna play me like I'm some type of dweeb? Like I'll be going for that type of shit? I will fucking rock his jaw. He's basically telling his wife though, like, yo, I feel disrespected that he would even, you know, assume that I would be cool with that. And you know, this money to look the other way, this is paying for drugs that's killing kids. And you know, these guys might as well have a gun in their hand pulling the trigger for what they're doing to kids in the neighborhood, in the city, right? So his wife tells him, don't say nothing. You got the job, you chilling, you a police officer, you're doing good. Just don't say nothing, just go on about your business. But Frank Castle is a man of morals, and that's just not gonna work for him, right? So what does he do? The next day, he goes and meets up with the captain, right? Captain Carmody, right? Now, for whatever reason, Captain Carmody has two-tone, 360 spinning waves. So I assume that he sleeps with the do-rag and brushes every day. That's neither here nor there though. When he walks in and he sees Captain Carmody, he recognizes him. He goes, yo, you were in the Marines, right? And Captain Carmody goes, yeah, I was in the Marines. I know you were a good Marine. I heard about you. I heard that you're doing a lot of good police work, and I couldn't wait to meet you, sit down and have a talk. So they start building, and Frank Castle goes into his spiel. Yo, look, the city is corrupt. The precinct seems to be corrupt. The courts, everything. I don't know what's going on, but I want to get to the bottom of it. And I thought that you were just the man to come to. So the captain tells him, I'm glad you came to me. Look, we're going to figure this shit out. This is what I need you to do. Keep your mouth shut for right now. Gather data. Get all the information that you can. Pictures, whatever you could get. Let's get it. Build a case, and then we'll spring it on them, and they won't be able to throw this away or bribe a judge. It'll just be too much because we got a guy on the inside now. I'm counting on you, Frank Castle. Make this happen. As they shake hands, you know, Frank Castle is reaching his hand out, you know, with honor and dignity because he believes in the captain, right? The captain is shaking Frank Castle's hand, reaching his hand out with deceit, manipulation, and the intentions of evil, right? And what I thought was so poetic and so dope about this scene right here is that as Frank Castle is walking away, the captain, you know, is described as watching him walking upright is essentially what's being described. You know, the straight, broad back walking, and the captain is describing, he's asking himself, yo, was I ever like that? Did I ever care that much? Was I ever so righteous? And then the final statement is, was I ever so stupid? You know what I mean? So this is a great expression of the captain he detests Frank White. You know what I mean? Because everything that Frank White really is in reality is everything that Captain Carmody pretends to be, but could never be in the heart. You know what I'm saying? So I thought this panel right here, just in one small panel, was such an ill way to illustrate all of that. So Frank gets up out of there, he goes home, he's feeling good, you know what I mean? He's got a new mission, he's got a reason, you know what I'm saying, to start doing his thing and all that. But, you know, time starts going by now, you know what I'm saying? And we go from summer, now we in the fall, now we in the Halloween season, right? Frank Castle is watching, during this time, judges, politicians, crooked cops, drug deals, you know, mafia activity, just all kind of shit. He's gathering all the data, he's building his case. This is months and months, right? So finally, here we are in Halloween. He comes home one day and his wife is sewing a costume for her son, for their son, right? A costume that the son designed and shit. And the son is all over him. He's jumping. Yo, daddy, check this out. Look, I put a new picture in my scrapbook. So the son is infatuated with superheroes. So he's got this scrapbook, right, where he's collected all these newspaper articles and shit from different superheroes. He put them all in there. He's showing his dad, look, check it out, Captain America. And you know, Frank Castle is like, yeah, wow, son, this is great. Captain America is a good man. And his son says, like, you, Dad? And this is so ill, man. Frank Castle says, no, son, not like me, like I aspire to be, like I want to be one day. You know what I mean? And this, I found this to just be such a jewel, man. Is a father who is not only a war hero, you know what I mean, but also a person who upholds the law, puts his life on the line to go outside, you know what I mean, and protect people. A real good cop, a good man, you know what I'm saying? But even him, he explains to his son, even in adulthood, even with all these decorations, you know, all these people that admire me for different reasons and depend on me, I still have to strive to be a good man every day, because that's what being good is all about. You know what I mean? This is something I relate to so much. This is a rent that you pay every day, man. There's no one thing you can achieve or do in your life to be considered good. You pay that rent every day. So the fact that the writer threw this in there, this exchange with a father and a son, I thought this was so ill, man. So Frank looks at the scrapbook, you know, he passes it back to his son. Now his son runs and grabs his costume that his mom just finished sewing up for him. He throws it on real quick. Frank picks up the newspaper. He's looking at, you know, all the crime, the corruption and shit. He's fuming, man. He's like, yo, I can't take this shit no more, man. These dudes is bugging out here, man. And, you know, his son got the suit on now. And he's like, look, Dad, look. And, you know, as his son is calling for his attention to check out the costume, Punisher says, yo, they should bring back capital punishment. Now his son mishears that. You know, he's a child, right? So he hears this and he goes, he got the suit on and he goes, yeah, Dad, that's perfect. Captain Punishment, like Captain America. And he's got the fake gun and he's got the suit on. Now this suit that his son created is the original suit. The all black with the white, you know what I mean? The solid white skull, you know what I mean? It's the new version of it, but the OG version. It comes up with that name. Punisher, Frank Castle is like, he's caught up, he's fuming, man. He's barely paying attention. He says, yo, this is it, I'm done. I got enough evidence, I can't take it no more. Tomorrow morning, I'm going in to the captain and I'm gonna give him the evidence. It's time for us to bring this to justice, right? So what he does is he makes copies, right, of the original pictures and all the data and all the information he has, and he stashes the originals, and then he takes the copies to the captain, brings it into the captain. Captain goes, yo, you still got the originals? He's like, yeah, I got them, son. Don't even worry about that. They over there somewhere. He's like, all right. He's looking at him sideways, you know what I'm saying? So he gives it to him. He's feeling good, you know. He's like, boom, we got him, right? And the captain is telling him this. He's beating him in the head, like, yeah, son, we got him, you know what I mean? It's over. As Frank Castle's walking away, you know, Captain Carmody is thinking, yeah, I could count on you to be dead, you know what I'm saying? Like, so Frank Castle goes home now, and now he's really feeling good, you know what I'm saying? He's in the crib, man, he's chilling, he got his feet kicked up on the ottoman, they watching TV. And yo, this scene right here, this panel, this is like my favorite panel from the whole comic book, right? And it's just it's a simple panel of Frank Castle and his family, relaxed, you know what I mean, vibing in the crib, and they just watching TV. But what's so dope is that on the television set, what they watching is Michael Jackson's Thriller, you know what I mean? And under the in the TV stand, you know, in the shelf on the bottom of the TV, there's a collection of vinyl records, right? And you can't really see or make out what the cover of the vinyl record is, the very first one. But if you, if you use a little bit of wit, you know what I'm saying, intuitiveness, you could make out that it just says really good songs, you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was so ill that the artist decided to throw that in there, you know what I'm saying? To put Thriller on the screen and then albums under there, and the first album says really good song, you know what I mean? It was just an ill scene, man, to check in the comic book, word up. But nevertheless, you know, they chilling in the living room, having a good family night, and company stops by, right? A friend of the family stops by. Now, this is a dude named Jake. He's essentially a friend of the wife's, you know what I mean? And he knows Frank from different things as well. So they sitting there kicking it, probably having a glass of wine, just talking shit about their lives and why he came into town. And, you know, they offered to let him stay there for the night. So he was like, you sure? And he's like, yeah, stay here for the night, man. Crash on the couch, don't even sweat it. So they all go to sleep. Kids go to their room. Frank Castle and his wife go to their room. Now, the son, more or less, is having nightmares, you know what I mean? So he's screaming, he's waking up the daughter. The parents come to the room, what's going on? He's having nightmares. He's like, all right, come on, son. You can come in the room, sleep with me. Both of y'all, come on, let's all go in the room. They go in the room, they fall asleep. Frank Castle gets up after falling asleep, you know what I mean, to go use the bathroom. When he goes into the bathroom, outside, 3 cars pull up in front of the crib. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is the phone call that Captain Carmody makes when Punisher left his office after turning the evidence in. He calls a cat named the Arranger. The Arranger is a cat that works for Kingpin, right? So now the 3 cars pull up to the crib. They hop out. They got the automatic weapons. You know what I'm saying? They spray the whole crib. They spray the whole bedroom, right? Now remember, the whole family is in the bedroom, right? So everybody gets hit, you know what I'm saying? Pop, 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 spray the whole crib up. Frank Castle hears the shots. He ducks while he's in the bathroom, hits the floor. Immediately, his war instincts are kicking in. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I gotta get low, gotta get to my gun. Now they take a grenade and throw it into the crib, man. You know what I'm saying? Blow the whole crib up. Kill his whole family. The only reason that Frank Castle survives is because he was in the bathroom, you know what I mean? Old school brownstone apartment, probably with the thick tiling all around the bathroom, mad plumbing and piping and all that. And this saves his life. This kind of serves as a barrier, you know what I mean? And he gets fucked up with the rubble and all that, and he's buried under everything, but he survives. But he's stumbling, moving, yo, I gotta get to the ratchet, right? Finally, when he gets to the drawer where the gun is, he also reaches the area of the apartment where now he could see his family blown to pieces, man, scattered out, you know what I mean? Just agony, tragedy, you know what I mean? Just complete misery. And this is where Frank Castle breaks. This is where his psyche breaks. This is where his spirit breaks. This is where his heart breaks. This is where the Punisher is born, you know what I'm saying? And the next scene, man, it switches over. And the first thing you see now is it's a funeral, right? It's Frank Castle's funeral. So this is a fallen officer and a fallen soldier. So, you know, 21 gun salute, the whole 9. They got everybody out there. Guess who's giving the eulogy, right? Captain Carmody, you know what I mean? So he's up there. Yo, Frank Castle was a great man, a good soldier. He was such a good cop. The city needs more people like him. All this shit. Now, mind you, they think Frank Castle is dead because the wife's homeboy, Jake, came to the crib to spend the night. Jake was on the couch. Jake got killed instantly when they started rat-a-tat-tat in the crib, but definitely died from the explosion. You know what I mean? And because of the explosion, it was hard for them to tell what body that was. So they just assumed that Jake's body was Frank Castle's, right? So they're holding a funeral, you know what I mean? And as he's giving this obituary, you know what I'm saying? They show panel in panel, you know what I mean? Like, as he's talking, Punisher's screwing on the nozzle for the silencer, you know what I'm saying? And just putting his piece together, his instrument of doom, right? And right as he's giving the speech, bang, blows his head off. Yo, man, at the end of this, I'll get more into why I think this scene is so poetic. But once this happens, right, He's on a rampage. He's bodying judges, bodying cops, blowing up crack houses. My son is going crazy, you know what I mean? So, one day he comes outside to check the paper, buy the newspaper. He's trying to see what the newspapers are saying about his work, you know what I mean? Which is ill, which is a call back to when he said, yo, the newspapers is full of shit, you know what I mean? They never get it right, they don't know nothing because, they putting a good man down in Spider-Man. So I thought that was ill too. Now he's checking the newspaper, and the newspaper is basically showing all of his shit. And this panel right here is crazy when they showing his handiwork, right? But what I found ill about this panel is the state of mind that Frank Castle's in. He's a Vietnam veteran, so it makes sense that he's got the greens on, you know what I mean? This is his old uniform, right? And he's outside wearing it in public. He's back in a war state of mind, 100%. Son is really wilding, you know what I mean? And this sets the stage for who Punisher becomes. He's got drama with the Kingpin. He's on a vengeance streak, and his character, is still winds up being exactly what it was. One might say that his fate was to suffer great loss so the pain could inspire him to eliminate those who cause great loss for so many on a large scale. The comic book ends with Punisher finally catching up to his old partner, Maguire, and basically just rocking him to sleep in the alleyway. They have a short exchange before that, and Maguire's basically saying, but you're dead. I killed you. Punisher replies, you killed Frank Castle. Frank Castle is dead for sure, but the Punisher is alive and well. Such a grand tale of loyalty and deceit, and it speaks volumes about how no level of allegiance or pledge to any flag or badge or credo or anything like that, right, can never truly set you in a place where you will get unconditional loyalty for someone else who's taken the same pledge or has joined the same group, or because they're a cop or because they were a soldier and you were a soldier. And the relationship between Captain Carmody and Frank Castle illustrates that perfectly, because once again, even though they were both cops, they were both soldiers, right? And outwardly they both presented to be men who wanted to uphold righteousness. Captain Carmody understood that internally he could never be what Frank Castle was. He could only pretend to be that thing outwardly. Word though. All in all, man, I think for me the grand jewel in this is that this tale is an expression of an inescapable fate. But what it shows though is that the way we get to that inescapable fate, the vehicle that we use to reach that point, is constructed from the pieces of your core principles. This is ultimately what carves your path, and that itself is inescapable if you are true to yourself. See, in reality, Frank White took a great loss because of a chance encounter. In this alternate reality, Frank White's family was spared because of a chance thunderstorm. They didn't plan for that day when they set out to have that picnic. But because of this chance encounter with a cloudy weather day, the family was spared, but ultimately his fate remained the same. And what led him to that fate was the fact that he could not ignore the corruption, the evil, the foul shit. And you see this play out in reality time and time again. When those who stand for truth or those who seek truth begin to rise in popularity or begin to make headway, something strange seems to happen to them. Or they're thrown in jail, or they're gunned down randomly. And it seems to be more of a feature and less of a bug for those who seek truth. So the ultimate question is it worth it? For Frank Castle, as morbid as this sounds, I think he would say that it was worth it. Because if you gave an honorable and moral man the choice to choose between saving his family and saving thousands and thousands of other innocent families and children, I think Frank Castle would probably tell you that this is what God chose him for. Frank Castle is my ninja. And last but not least, man, the poetic moment when Captain Carmody is given the eulogy at a funeral for a man he thinks he killed and winds up being killed at that funeral. It wound up being his funeral. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes you'll get people who think that they've done you harm or damaged you or hurt you in a way or hindered you in a way that you can't rise up no more. They think you finished. But what they don't realize is the very act of them trying to play you or put you down is what winds up leading to their very own demise. Hallelujah.